So cost variance answers one question. Did the job cost what the PM said it would cost? And so when you track cost variance by your project manager, patterns emerge that are going to confirm discipline or expose, drift on your budget. And that's what we're going to show here. And you can see that if it's negative here, it means that they were under budget, right? Meaning that it costs more than the original, forecasted amounts. And so here we're going to show in this data set, which is a pretty basic data set. I'm sure you have, something like this. If you want this data set, there's a link to download it. But we're going to slice this on job type and PM name, and then do an overall for PM. And you have simple columns. What was the original budget? Any changes that were approved, and then final budget, and then the actual cost. And then were they over under? So final budget and actual cost. And that's how we get this number here. So this is just going to be the final minus the actual. So a positive number here means they came in under budget, and a negative number means they came in over budget. And what we're going to do is we're not going to sum, like we're not going to take an average of over and under. What we're going to do is we're going to take essentially, this actual minus final divided by final to get a percent variance. And so I'm just creating this one column. You don't have to, but I'm going to use it just because it makes it a little bit easier. And so we're going to take this number, 812, and divide it by the final budget to get a percentage. But what we're going to do is we're going to sum everything by PM name and by job type. So like, in other words, we want to get every Dan and full system replacement, and then, sum the over under and then divide it by the final budget. And that's what we're going to show here. And then we're going to create a simple chart and a simple heat map. And so the first thing we need to do is I can recalculate this, but it's just, final budget. It just equals this minus this. And then you can see the numbers are the same. But I'm going to delete that. And then the next thing we need to do is on this, for the column, we want the job type. For the row, we want the PM. And so to get a unique list of the job type, so job type, what we're going to do is do unique and then job type right here. And then what I'll do is I'm just going to sort this alphabetically. And then you can see it's just sorted alphabetically. I'm going to wrap it with the sort function. Then I'm going to copy and then press Control-Shift-V to paste. And the next thing I want a unique list in the table of the job type. And then again, going to sort this. And then finally, I want to transpose this across. Like, in other words, I want these across the rows. So I'm just going to wrap this again with the transpose function. And then copy, and then Control-Shift-V to paste the values. I don't want the formula in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, for commercial and, oh, that didn't work. I don't want job type. I want PM. I need more coffee. Okay, and then for here, we want to find the sum of the variance column that we calculated for Dan Russo and commercial in the whole data set. And then we want to divide that by the final budget cost. Okay, so it's not as hard as it sounds. So to sum if Dan Russo and, commercial and ductwork and full system, it's the SUMIFS function. And the first argument is going to be the range here. That's what we want to sum, comma. And then we want to sum the PM name, comma, where it's cell C2 here. I'm just going to type in C2. I don't like having the sheet name there, comma. And then now job type, and you can see commercials in cell B3. So back here, job type, comma, B3. So this is just the variance for Dan. And a positive number here means they were under budget. But now we want to divide this. So it's the same formula. The difference is we're going to sum the final budget column instead of the over-under column. So you can just divide this by the same formula, which we copy that and divide by the same formula. But now we want the final budget. And now you have a percentage, right? So Dan always predicted not always, but like on average is predicting the job, and he's coming in under budget. I guess my camera just turned off. He's coming in under budget. And so now we want to copy this over and drag it down, but we can't because of what's called referencing. So this is relative referencing. In other words, you see that C2 changes to D2, which is what we want. But the problem is that the job type is going over one. So it's coming over here, and we want it to be here. And so the way you do that is anywhere you see the blue, which is the row, and the colors can change. So anywhere you see the row, put a $sign in the middle before the number. And anywhere you see the column, put a $sign before the column, so before the letter. And then now you have to copy and paste. You still can't drag it. And the reasoning is because you can see we want to sum the over-under column, but as we drag it over, it changes. But if you copy and then paste, it works as expected. And then you can see these, especially Travis Coleman here is coming in, like he's not good at predicting. He needs some training. And then what we want to do here, just for the chart, and in general, I mean, it's good to have, is we want the overall by people here. And so we want to delete anywhere you have the job type, because we want to create a chart. And so anywhere you see the job type, all you have to do is delete that. Here. And then again, copy and then paste and then Control-Shift-5, and you can get, the percentages. And so finally, two things. We just want to highlight red anything less than 0. So press Control to copy, or just highlight everything, and then hold down Control and highlight the rest, and then conditional formatting, highlight cells less than 0. And so you have that. And then finally, the last thing we want to do is we want to create that chart, this chart here, and all you have to do is highlight the names, hold down Control, and highlight the overall, and then you can go to Insert. And what you can do, I mean, you can choose which chart you want. I mean, this might be easier to understand. I mean, either way, it's like you have 0 here, and then everything to the left. But just so I can match the original the chart you saw at the beginning of the video, I'll do it this way. And then if you want, you can see the values, press the plus, and then data labels, and you can see it that way. And then what I'll do is let me just change the title here. I'll just copy this and then paste it. But yeah, so this is pretty much, how you can calculate this. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, the hardest part with any of this stuff is just getting the data, right? Like if you have this data, then it's relatively easy to do that. But, getting the final cost is like reconciling all of your expenses and things like that, which you should be doing. And so, yeah, that's how you calculate this. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Questions at databoards.io. If you need some help with any of this stuff, if you need some help, getting these metrics or, getting your data structured, there's a link to my calendar, or again, you can just shoot me an email. But anyways, that's all I got for this one, and I'll see you in future videos.